To create a successful circular business model requires a deep technological investigation. Indeed, without a proper design of the IT/IoT technologies for controlling and managing the resources bundled into a circular product, the chances to deliver the promised value over time and to keep aligned a circular value chain are rather limited. However, so far, IT/IoT technologies for the circular economy have not received the attention they deserve. Davide Chiaroni, full professor at Politecnico Milano, will discuss this topic, offering a framework for better understanding the role of such technologies and the risks of undervaluing their impact. Welcome, Davide, our first guest in the tech section of the Circular Economy Forum.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for the invitation and for the introduction. I am very happy to be here in this session, and I'm also have the chance to introduce this session with some thoughts. I will share my screen. So I'm from the Politecnico di Milano, Department of Management Engineering. So I'm starting with the idea of understanding the role of technologies in the development of circular economy. And I found out that if we assume in a very brief, I know that this concept is very clear to most of you, but just to recall it with some pictures that I think are quite effective in that. In the normal linear model, we have a build-up of the value in the pre-use, then we have the use, and then the value is destroyed. The basic idea, the secret of circular economy is we have to extend the time of use, so letting people using more the resources, keeping the useful life of valuable resources for a longer period, and then to expand the retained value, so the post-use, creating additional loops. If these are the basic concept of the circular economy, I think that we can even consider, or let's say put on this representation, the three pillars of value. So the value creation part in the pre-use, the value transfer part during the use, and the value capture phase in the post-use. The value creation is the first part of the idea, and in my perspective, we are currently in a kind of paradox in the circular economy discussion. Indeed, when we talk about the value creation, so when we talk about the phase that comes before the use, we have already a lot of research, a lot of practices, a lot of ideas going on around the concept of design for eggs. So I know that the value creation is in the design, and I think that we have already well equipped in the design for manufacturing, design for service, design for recycling, design for environment, whatever is the design for eggs part. So the value creation part is very well equipped. In the value transfer phase, so in the part that is in the use, we have already a lot of models that are based on the pay-per-use, pay-per-performance. So we have already, let's say, a number of concepts going on that are actually covering, in my opinion, in a good way, the value transfer phase. But when it comes to the value capture, that is the most critical part, in my perspective, of the circular economy overall approach. Because when we are in the after-use model, we need to keep the value of resources as high as possible in order to really capture the value of the resource. Everything that is designed in the value creation phase, in order to really deliver the promise of circular economy, have to be then captured in the post-use. But if we are very, as I told before, if we are very well shaped when it comes to the design phase, if we have already many models about the value transfer phase, I think that we are still far from having tackled in a proper way the capture phase. Indeed, if we move in the capture phase, I would say that first of all, it requires a constant, real-time, potentially measure of the status of the resources. So I need to know exactly the status of the resource. In every single moment, the resource is available in order to design my strategy around it. And when I talk about measure, or better, if I think of the status is a multidimensional measure. Is where is the resource? Is what is the status of the resource? Is who is using the resource? From how long? So the history of the resource so far. In interaction with, so the resource is bundled with its ecosystem, and I need to know exactly where the position of the resource in the ecosystem is. And of course, I need to have information about the level of performance. So only if I'm able to collect and measure all this information about the resources that are bundled into the product and services that are at the basis of the circular economy approach, I can design some actions. So once the resource is measured, when I have cleared the status, I need to have a kind of table of actions that tells me exactly what I have to do in order to maximize the value of the resource. I have to intervene with the maintenance. I can swap the resource and maybe use it for another loop. I can connect it to another value chain. I need a remanufacturing or whatsoever. And in each of these actions, I need a trade-off to solve the trade-off between the value the resource has in a certain point in time. And again, I will stress the point. This value is related to a multidimensional measure and also to the real available opportunities. So what are the other actors of the chain I'm connected with? The real potential of a resource depends also on this, and it could change time by time. So if you enter into this perspective, you start questioning yourself about, okay, but then what I did in the design phase, which is great, what I'm doing in the transfer phase, which is okay, could be really wasted if we are not really designing the post-use phase, and if we are not really keeping track of all this information. It's certainly a matter of technologies. So we need IT, IoT, we need analytics, we need virtual representation of the products, and just put it in the slide, a picture of a BIM model. We need cyber physical systems to act on the product. We have all these technologies already. So the main problem is not about we are lacking the technologies that are needed in order to properly address the value capture. My critical point is that we are missing the model in the value capture phase. We are designing a product to be remanufactured, but we are not keeping proper track of the status of the product in order to know when exactly is the best time to remanufacture it. So we really need, in designing the value capture model, to find the interactions and the connection with the other actors of the circular chain. So it's not just a matter about designing the product, but designing and keeping the ecosystem aware of what's happening to the resources. It requires a model that, in order to be really coherent with the approach of the circular economy, has to be integrated in the revenue stream and in the revenue model. So the user has to benefit as well from the emerging options of usage of the resources. So I need to keep also the users connected with the measure of the resources. And of course, I need a cost-benefit balance in the design phase. How many sensors, how many type of technologies I need on board of the products in order to maximize the value capture phase. And how can I ensure that this sensor, these technologies are kept up to date with the innovation and with the life cycle of the product. Maybe I have a product that is lasting for more than the sensor that are used for monitoring it. This is something that is crucial in the overall circular economy problem, but it's, in my perspective, still largely undervalued in the design phase. So let me say, as a provocative final thought, I think that in the pendulum swing of the circular economy, we move strongly from the use to the design. So we pushed a lot the idea that we need to design product that lasts. But all this effort, all this pendulum swing that has brought better design for circular product, now it has to be swing back to the post-use. Because yes, we are designing good products that could last, but in order to really make them last, we need to project and design in a proper way also this value capture phase. So we have to measure, or better, to move from the pre-use to the post-use, really having a clear view of the journey of the product is crucial. And moving from design to measure, not just designing for, but measuring the variables that are keeping aligned the design with the reality is becoming more and more crucial. So I'm moving from more the advertising part, so let's say design and promote to the customer a certain model, to the technology that helps keeping this model alive. So from a certain point of view, and ending with a joke about the fact that I'm coming from an engineering university, if we want really to get the circle measure, we need to work a lot on the technology that keeps the product in the capture phase. And this part requires as much attention as we did so far in the design phase. So that's the reason why I think that technology does matter more than we think, and that particularly the technology that matters is the one that keeps the measure of the resources alive along the life cycle of the product. Thank you.